Hello there and welcome to another BoBeats Summer of Synths video. And today's special guest is gonna explore hardware synth setups for techno music, because it's a topic that I'm not very familiar with. I don't have a lot of experience with techno music, so I thought that was interesting and thought it was something that you might enjoy seeing here on the channel. So today's special guest is no other than Trovarsi, and I've linked her socials down in the description so you can go and check her out. And yeah, let's get to it.
Hey everyone, my name is Trovarsi and I am here to show you how I put together this small techno system and how to perform with it. But first I want to say thank you to Bo for inviting me on your show. I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying your vacation. You definitely deserve it. And in honor of you, I think we should have a sip of the coffee before we get started. Alright, so when I think of putting together a system like this, I think of a couple of different things. For starters, I think of what sounds do I want to use? What do I want to make? How do I want to perform? Next, I think about how quickly I can get to those sounds. To me, that's just as important as picking the sounds themselves. Especially in a small system, it has to be intentional choices and have the ability to make the changes on the fly. So I will walk you through the patch and each sound, and then I'll also explain why I picked each specific device or module. All right, so let's take a look at what I have on the table. Starting off is the Dig Attack. I picked the Dig Attack because it is so fun and easy to program patterns on. I load up my samples, I sample a lot of my modular, and I collect samples as well, and it's easy to just throw them in there, chop them up, mangle them, easy to sequence, and I love the muting capabilities with the Dig Attack. It's very easy to perform with. And I believe that Bo did a video or two on the Dig Attack, so if you're not familiar with it, or if you're on the fence about picking one up, you should definitely go check out those videos. All right, so let's get started on the first sound of the patch. So I like techno and I love using chord stabs, so I have a chord stab on track 4. So you can hear that happening. I use the filters a lot to kind of bring that in and out. And by starting to add and create a groove, I'll add some open and close hi-hats. Bring in some extra percussion on the other channels. So hats on 6 and 7, percussion on 2 and 3, tracks 2 and 3. Then I have some sort of ear candy, like on 8. You can hear that. And then I have my kick on track 1. So this is the first part of the groove. And the stab is fitting in between the hi-hats, but also this additional sound, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. So moving over to the palette case, I have the Poly N Poly 2. And that's how I'm able to integrate the Dig Attack with my modular setup. The Poly N, Poly 2 is a MIDI to CV converter. On the Dig Attack, you have 8 MIDI channels, so today I just used 2 of those. So on track A, I am sending MIDI sequence to the Poly N, out of the Poly N to the Bacillus Iteritatus altar. And on track B, I'm sending same thing, MIDI notation through the Poly N, and the Poly N is then sending pitch and gate information to the Siren. So back to what's in the case first. Here I have the BIA, which if you know anything about me, it's like one of my all-time favorite modules. I love it because not only can it get really dirty and hard and crunchy, but you can also use it to make other textures, leads, and bass lines. So today I'm using it as a bass line. So let's kind of revisit that just so you can kind of hear that. I have it routed through this filter and into the mixer. So you can already hear like the different sounds that you can kind of dial in. And adding a filter into this case was extremely important to me because I use filters as a performance tool. So not only do I use that to pull out the volume, but in a more creative way, but it's also can create tension by using that to build in and bring in the bass line or sort of filter it out and use it as a form of to transition. Next, I have the performer module, and it is an effect module with a reverb, delay, glitch, and tape stop that you can perform with. The obvious buttons where you can play in the effects, which is really cool, but you also have gate inputs so you can sequence how you trigger each effect, or you can latch it. So it's super fun to play with. And next to that, I have this mixer. And the mixer is a stereo 2-channel or 4-channel mono mixer. It's called the Cockpit. If we back up for a moment and just talk about how I have the audio patched, I'm able to patch the Dig Attack directly into this mixer. So going back to the BIA is routed through the filter into the mixer, and then another voice, which we'll get to in a moment, the Siren, is going also patched into this mixer. The mixer is then patched into the performer module, out of the performer module, and then into the Golden Master, which is a multi-band compressor. Not only does this module sound good, but you have the capability to mute the highs, mids, and lows, which is another way to perform. How I approach performing techno, I like to pull out the lows, sort of like how a DJ would in a DJ setup, so it's easy to kind of push these buttons and make that happen pretty quickly. Going over to the Siren. So the Siren is an additional voice that I'm using. So the Siren is actually routed through this 1U effects module that has like another reverb, delay, and chorus. Today I'm using it as a reverb just to kind of give it a little bit of reverb to it so it doesn't sound so dry. So let's take a listen to that. And the Siren is basically creating a call and response with the bass line. So when I make techno, or any genre really, I think it's important to keep in mind the placement of each of my elements so they're not trampling over each other and fighting for space. Instead, the elements have this dance with each other, creating the call and response between them. So let's take a moment and listen, and we'll hear that call and response that's happening between the Siren and the BIA. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that's happening in the patch. The stab, the percussion elements happening, the bass line coming out of the BIA, an additional harmonic lead coming off the Siren, and just using the other modules as performance. We had the filter, the performer module itself, and this effects module, and using the ability to pull out the lows and highs using the mute functionality on the Golden Master. So again, it's all about choosing modules with intention when creating a small setup like this. That way you are creating something fun, compact, yet easy to play with and jam on. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple other setups that I've used in the past creating small techno setups. Let's have a look at those. In this setup, I'm using the Bitbox Micro and the BIA for the melodic and drum sounds. The MIDI fighter twister is controlling the parameters on the bitbox, and the O control and Zolark repetitor are my main sequencers. This next one coming up was a lot of fun getting into using the quadranted swarm and the Queen of Pentacles, along with the Plantar 2 for controlling various parameters. Here's another setup with the Polyend tracker and the Loquelic Iteritas altar. I'm using the blue box for mixing and effects. The VCMC is controlling parameters on the blue box, and the Metron is sequencing the drums on the Squid Solample. All right, so you really see that with this setup and the other setups I showed you, you really don't need a table full of gear or a huge modular rack to make music and have fun. The main idea is to think about the music you want to make, choose devices that suit those needs, be creative and have fun. Don't overcomplicate it. You can see you can get a lot done with a small system. And the bonus is you can throw it in a bag and take it on the go. All right. If you're making small systems, I'd love to see what you're doing. So please tag me in IG. Bo, I hope you're having fun wherever you are. I hope you're on a warm beach somewhere. And yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.
Thank you so much, Trovarsi, for taking us on this little techno journey and showing us these different setups. And if you want to go and check her out, I've linked her down in the description so you can go and check it out. And yeah, now I'm gonna go and swim. No, probably not. It's kind of cold, even though the sun is slightly showing. And yeah, I'll see the rest of you in August sometime when I'm back from my vacation. Hope you have a great day. And today's special guest is Ant. Nice. It's not even that sunny, it's not even that warm, but I got a bee landing in my hair. Nice.